I'm not a doctor, but I'll take a look at your car. Come on, this channel's PG, guys. It is getting so close. Not just the time frame, but the whole car itself is getting very close to drivable.
Barkley belt, burning steel and fuel, turning rust to power. That's the golden rule. Barkley belt, we're tearing down the line. Full throttle, hearts in overdrive.
Welcome back out to the garage. It has been 3 weeks since I have filmed anything. We are back, of course, on the Deathtrap, and today is July 18th. Racing starts a week from tomorrow. It starts Sunday the 25th. I have days, 7 days actually. But yeah, so as we see the Beetle right now, I have done a few things, and the most obvious is the old brake rotors on there. And I know what you're thinking. I have done a lot of things that have made this car look ridiculous. Did I really need to do anything else? And the answer is yes, because I have to find a way to transport the slicks. And why not haul them like that? So I made up a couple mounts. I just finished welding them on, and it's just a through bolt with some washers holding the old rotors and hubs on there. And now I can haul both the slicks on the car without them rubbing on anything, and in about the most secure place I have. I know you're probably asking, why didn't I put them on the roof rack? We have this nice big roof rack. Well, you see, that's simple. All the tools, all the spare parts, and the cooler have to go up top. Anything that can't get wet or sun damaged or whatever, like our clothing, so you know, our suitcases and the cameras and all the camera gear and possibly our sleeping bags and pillows, that's got to go in the cab. And I'm sure if you've seen any of the other videos, you know there's not a lot of space in that cab anymore. There's about this much behind the seats and then on top of the engine, and anything on top of the engine is going to get fairly warm. So I'm kind of trying to maximize the space I have. So the other storage is under the hood, well, the front trunk, the frunk, where you would normally carry everything. Well, the problem is up there, half of it is unusable because of the radiator. And then I went and made it even more unusable. I kind of put a makeshift air dam in here to try and get less heat on Josh and I. So now I don't have any storage up there. And this is also going to kind of do double duty. It's been an extremely wet year this year, and I wired this. So there's a lot of poorly done and exposed things. Yeah, so can't really put anything under there anymore. The next thing you're going to notice is we have the new rubber installed. And yes, it's slightly obnoxiously outside the fenders. It wouldn't have been near as bad if we hadn't cut the fenders a few years ago, but it doesn't look too bad. Fits on there pretty good. And for people who like an aggressive stance, they hang way outside the fenders. So that's, you know, a positive depending on your thoughts. I also have the alignment kind of close. I'm going to double check it today because I need to be able to test drive this thing. There's only 7 days left. The next thing is you'll notice that that is a different pump. That is a genuine hot oil scavenge pump. So the old Chinese pump we had on here, the one I got off Amazon, yeah, it just wasn't doing the job. I could run it for like 20 seconds and then it would die. Wouldn't be enough power draw to blow the breaker or anything, or to blow the fuse, but it would just quit. So I'd pull it apart, I'd clean it out, and put it back together. Couldn't really find anything, put it back together, and it would work. After about the 4th or 5th time I did that, I said, screw this, I'm not doing that anymore. So then I switched to my Holley Blue pump. Great idea, right? It's meant to actually pump reliably. Well, it's meant for cold fuel. It's not meant for oil, number one, which is thicker, and hot oil. So it kind of did the job, but honestly, it couldn't even keep up when the oil was cold. So I kind of had to go a different route. So I did a ton of research. Every pump I could find, including the Chinese one I had, is not rated for the temperature, other than genuine scavenge pumps. And there's only 3 or 4 ones that I could find that had decent reputation. So I bought the Mocal, I think I got the medium or the mini, I can't remember. It's not the smallest one, but it was like the cheapest Mocal pump. And so far, it's fantastic. I installed dummy lights on the dash. One light comes on when the float closes. Another light comes on when the pump's on. So now when the float comes on, the float light comes on, then half a second later, the pump light comes on. Then the float light goes off after about 3 to 5 seconds. And then the pump light stays on for another 5 seconds because that's what I have my timer set to. And I can actually hear the pump run out of oil. So I'm actually going to bring that down to 3 seconds. That means this pump in 6 seconds can pump out roughly a liter of my oil. Now, that's with fairly cold oil. I haven't fully heat cycled this thing because I'm just scared with the tune. So even when the oil's hot, it should easily keep up, and it's really easy for me to change the time on the timer. So I'm not concerned. So now with all that stuff done, the next thing is my buddy Ryan from 780 Speed and Custom is coming down tomorrow to do tuning on this. Him and I have been going back and forth. I've been sending him log files. Well, first of all, he helped me figure out how to make my wideband actually connect to the computer. Turns out it wouldn't connect to my tuning computer. So I borrowed one from my brother-in-law because he also has HP tuners for his road race and his circle track cars. Conveniently, he even uses this engine in a couple of his cars. And I'm here to tell you, he did that with an NA engine. Yeah, that's why I'm not running crazy boost on my turbo setup here, because, you know, if Josh wants to do that on the last day of Miles, it's his car, that's his choice. I'd just like to make it through the week first. Him and I have been messaging back and forth after he helped me get my correct channels on the log and get my wideband to read. I logged some stuff and sent it to him. Well, first of all, he sent me a bass tune and I put it in, and I had to play with the bass tune a little bit to get it to run. And then I sent him a log. He made some changes, sent it back. And we've done that 3 or 4 times. And we've got it to the point now where it's rich all the time, but it's not crazy rich. Like when I was first messing with it, I had to do a bunch of playing around. First, it was way too lean, wouldn't even start. Then it was so rich, it was running like 11 to 1. So I played with the injector constant to get it close, and then I sent the info to him. And he sent me a tune last night that I still have to flash in, and I'm going to send him a log. And then tomorrow, I'm hoping for a good day of tuning and road tuning. We're going to get the other slick mounted up here, make sure I'm happy with them, make sure they're nice and strong. I'm going to start messing with the alignment, and we are going to flash the tune that he just sent me into the ECU, and we'll do another log file and we'll send it to him. My entire plan with this car is to make sure that after this week, I don't hate it and Josh doesn't hate it anymore. So we'll get this slick put on. The nice thing about mounting the slicks like this too is it's easy storage for the lug nuts, because it would be too easy if the street tires and the race tires ran the same lug nuts. And the nice thing now is I don't care about my threaded rod studs on these rotors, because now all it's doing is holding the tire on. It's not holding the whole car up. Okay, now that we're sure that the tires are good there, I'll get them pulled back off. There's a couple of studs I got to clean up the threads a little bit on. And then we'll get to figuring out the alignment and playing with the tune. All right, so the first thing I'm going to stress is put your vehicle on a charger, especially if your battery's as small as mine. Voltage plays a lot of weird issues. So I just have a charger on. It's a smart charger, kicks in and out when I need it. And it's needed it. Okay, so Ryan has emailed me the new tune. Right here, tune 4. We're going to download it, and then we'll open it, and then I'll turn the power onto the car, and I will write the tune. I just have to go write calibration. I don't have to do write entire. So we'll let this get written into the ECM. Then we'll do a key cycle and we'll come back and do a log. Okay, now the tune is completely written in. So we'll just close this. We'll cycle the key. As you can see, my wideband is right here. I know it's a little tough to see, especially if you're watching this on a phone, but I promise you it's there. So I connect to the vehicle, start recording. My wideband's recording. We'll turn the fuel pump on and we'll start this thing. Now I got the log running. We'll go in the car and we'll rev it up to 1600 slowly a few times. I'll rev it up to 3 grand slowly a few times. And then I'll blip the throttle and I'll save the log and I'll send it to Ryan. Okay, so I got the door open now because, believe it or not, it's a little smoky in here. The new tune is extremely rich, which is good because I brought the injector constant a lot richer to get it to run. So he's been slowly richening the tune through the whole thing to keep it even. But if I go back through my log, I'm running low 12s to low 11s for AFRs. He wanted to tune it in Lambda, but this is a very old ECU and I couldn't actually find commanded Lambda for him. So we're making do. We're doing it, as he would say, the old school way, but you know, it's still EFI in a computer, so it's not that old. Oh, and if you notice the Barkley built shirt, no, these are not for sale. I only got a couple of them for Josh and I, and the print shop kind of screwed it up. It's peeling a lot. So luckily they warrantied it and they gave me 2 new ones. So now this is my garage shirt, but I will have Barkley built stickers and questionable decision, poor execution stickers, as well as Deathtrap and Deathtrap 2.0 stickers at Miles of Mayhem. I only have like 30 of each, so first come, first serve. If anybody actually cares about this car. I mean, if you guys want shirts, let me know. I can probably figure out how to get some for you. Oh, and if you're liking the new camera stuff, I mean, I got to work with my framing. I'm a little low in the picture, but I spent money on a gimbal with tracking because, you know, then I don't have to pay a camera guy. Not that I would because I'm cheap, but the gimbal was cool and I like cool things. So let's get after some work here. We have finished the alignment. We have put the tune the tuner sent us in, and then we screwed with that. Realized I'm stupid, he's smart. I don't need to touch it. I'll wait for him. Put his tune back in. Now it's time to wrap the exhaust. So I got some header wrap. And I also got some foil tape for possibly some of these intake pipes. And of course I had to get gold, guys. I mean, it's a 24 karat car. It's got to be gold. She's one of a kind. She's unique. Why is it unique? Because no one else is this dumb. But, you know, it is what it is. Of course, I'm not pulling those pipes out to wrap them. And I don't have enough room to move this whole roll in there. So I'm going to unroll a bunch of it, see roughly how much I need to do this. Probably 1 piece for the header pipe, if I can. And then we'll soak that in water and then we'll properly wrap it. Then I will probably foil tape these intake pipes. That's probably the only one that actually needs to be wrapped. Why would I do these ones? I don't know. If I get bored or I want them gold, because who doesn't like gold? I may pull those off to do it. I do have my extra special zip ties holding it away from the body. But here's the deal. I can leave those there and I'll just slip it back up through those. Yeah. And then I did chase the threads on 4 out of 5 studs on both. So now the roof rack looks even more obnoxious, but have you seen the car? It kind of suits it. So I'll start wrapping and I'll get back to you when it's done. Okay, so that actually went surprisingly well. And I didn't even use all of the header wrap, so it took less than 50 feet. But I did do the header pipe from the manifold to the turbo, and then I did the down pipe from the turbo to the muffler. I'm not gonna header wrap the muffler, guys. Yes, it will get hot. No, I don't care. it's down and out of the way and hopefully causes no issues. The turbo. I'm not going to blanket the turbo either. My buddy Brett blanketed his turbo 2 years ago. He had a Chinese turbo and he blanketed it. The thing was glowing on street driving. Yes, that means more heat. I don't think that's good for a Chinese turbo. And I'm not looking for near the boost he was making. So if I have to blanket it, we'll figure something out. But for now, I'm just going to leave it. I still have to wrap this pipe, but it's supper time and I'm hot and I want to go in the house. So we may or may not get that done tomorrow, but I promise you at least this chunk of pipe will get wrapped with that nice foil tape before we go on Miles. With that, guys, thanks for tuning in. I will catch you next week on Barkley Built when we will be driving and tuning this car. Ryan is coming and we're going to tune it and try not to blow it up because I really don't have time to find and swap the engine. So wish us luck. We'll catch you next week.